Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by the funny Womacs and Friends. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, musicians, and comedians that perform here and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what makes our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Don Davis Womack.
Hello, laughers. We are welcoming back Spencer Hatcher, who is our most listened episode to date. He was here for episode 57, back when we were an audio-only podcast. If you're listening to audio, you get to hear him again. And if you are watching on YouTube, now you get to see his lovely, handsome face. So, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Since then, so much has happened in his life and career. Spencer is a bluegrass and country artist known for his relatable lyrics. Raised in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, Spencer has a loyal following with 60 million views, including 8.5 million likes on TikTok alone. Not only did he recently sign with Stone Country Records, he is also overcoming a serious fall in September that fractured his pelvis and ribs. His debut release with label featuring Cold Beer and Common Sense is a testament to unity and old-fashioned values. Welcome to the show, Spencer. It's great to have you back.
It's great to be here again, Dawn. I'm really excited for this.
I am really excited for this, too. I remember interviewing you a couple of years ago, and I just feel like you have that star quality about you. I was even, I believe, saying you're, I think, the next Elvis Presley, so I'm excited. I know that's a lot of pressure, but...
Well, I hope that I can live up to it. Elvis is my all-time favorite, so I don't think anybody will get close to Elvis, but if I can be just a fraction of what he was, well, I'll be pretty happy.
I think it's exciting to follow your career. You're still a young man, and
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here at your property. You just bought a house last year, too.
Yes, ma'am.
He's all growing up, laughers. And you get to watch his whole journey. This is a budding career then that is moving toward a country music star factor journey, because you are getting ready to move to Nashville here in the new year, January 2025, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's been a dream of mine for a long time anyways, and to have that opportunity present itself as it has, I'm very excited. And you know, back in college, I lived in Tennessee for 4 years anyways, so Tennessee's kind of like my second home already, but to get to move to Nashville for the sole purpose of growing the career and just doing music on an even larger scale is the biggest blessing of my life.
That's amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
It just kind of fell into place so far.
It did. Yep. God has definitely been watching over me and taking care of me in a lot of different ways, and I'm just very, very blessed to be put in this position.
Yeah, I bet you didn't expect the fall, though, to happen in September.
No, that's not something that you can plan for, but it happened, and just like a lot of things that's happened in my life, and I think anybody's life, you know, you have these obstacles that you have to cross, and at first you're wondering, you know, why did this happen? I think that's always the first question is why am I going through this? And you know, I think it always reveals itself a couple months or maybe even a year later, but the answer to, I think, all problems, they always tend to reveal themselves, and it is ultimately to make you a better person, to give you more experience. And it's about how you look at it, but typically I've looked at all the trials and tribulations that I've been through over the last 27 years as a positive thing. I mean, it helps form you into who you are, and you got to be happy with that.
Yeah. This was at your house this fall happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you walk us through?
Yes, ma'am. September 23rd, I was doing a lot of stuff that day for my record label in Nashville, and I just kind of had a lot of stuff on my mind. But I'm one of those guys that just wants to do the best that I can in everything that I do. You know, I'm a people pleaser. I just try to do well, and I was doing a lot of work that day for the record label and for my music career that I've got here at home anyways, and I had housework that needs to be done. It's like priorities, man, but my dad was over here, and I knew that we had a small time frame to get that done, so we went out on the roof and put a ladder up to get up to the upper level roof to work on the chimney, and just like my entire life, if there's a job that needs to be done, you just do it on your own. It's kind of how you do it in the country. You know, I've never called people to do my own work. We just grew up doing it. And so I held the ladder for my dad. He went up the top roof, and then I was on my way up, and I was about 4 feet up off the first roof, and the ladder just shot out from under me. It was a freak thing, but it shot out, and there wasn't a single thing I could do to stop it. There was nothing I could hold on to, and it started going down, and naturally I went down with it. My feet hit that first roof. That was a 4-foot drop. It was enough to just totally knock me off balance.
Yeah.
And it pushed me about 6 feet out, and then I had an additional 16-foot drop from there.
Oh, my gosh.
And I landed on the rock walk down below. It was just rock slabs that I wound up hitting. And on impact, I fractured my pelvis in 3 areas. I chipped 2 bones. I broke 3 ribs, and I had a pulmonary contusion on my right lung. And that is about the biggest blessing that I could have had.
Yeah.
In almost no other situation would anybody have ever came out with that minor of injuries, even though supposedly I broke the 2 most painful bones in your body, the ribs and the pelvis. But I have been told by many of the nurses and the doctors, they said, Spencer, the survival rate of that fall, a 20-foot fall is what it was, is like less than 5%. They said almost never does anybody come out of a fall half that height without being paralyzed.
Yeah.
At the bare minimum. And it's been 5 weeks, and I'm back performing, and I'm walking again. I've got a limp, and, you know, it's still, there's a lot of recovering to do. I've still got about 4 months worth until I'm hopefully back at about 100%, but that's okay with me. That's a blessing that I'm still here.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
my perspective on everything has changed since then. You know, everything's been moving really fast for me. My life has been moving quick, and I've been doing a lot of stuff, and I think this was a real eye-opener to me to slow down a little bit and
Yeah.
enjoy the day that I'm in, and stop looking to a year in the future and 2 years in the future. It's just how I've always been, but now it's kind of like I can just be grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that. I don't know if you know this, because I don't know if I've shared it with you. That really resonates with me, because 3 years before my freshman year in college, my father was playing on the second-story deck with 2 of my younger siblings, and he fell over 22 feet on his head. So he sustained so much damage that when the doctor came out to tell us what was happening, they said he was 100% paralyzed from the waist down.
Oh my gosh.
99% chance he was paralyzed from the neck down, and that he had sustained so much brain injury that he was going to be a vegetable if he ever woke up from the coma. So we went through 8.5 months, 2.5 months in intensive care, and then 8.5 months total before he passed on.
Oh my gosh.
So he's one of those statistics that the nurses were talking to you about.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
And so it is a miracle, having some personal experience with my own family, that you are here, and I'm so glad that you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know, or did you feel it, or were you in shock, or a mix? How?
You know, it's starting to come back to me now. I don't know if it was just, I guess it was a traumatic thing, and that's why I'm starting to think about it now. I've not really had the chance to talk about it because it's a newer thing. But at first, it was just like, you know, I was injured. But now I'm starting to think about it about every day. You know, I get that feeling of the fall coming back, and what it felt like for me to go from that ladder that I was on to when I hit that first roof. I knew I was falling, but I didn't realize the severity of the situation until I'd been knocked out over the roof. And my thought in my head was, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall, this giant fall. You know, I've looked down over that roof many times because I've done roof work and work on my house anyways, but the realization that you're about to be seriously injured and you know it, but it's not happened yet, is just mortifying.
Really?
That is a horrifying thing. And I had I guess you'd call it the opportunity to go through that. And that feeling is what continues to come back to me now. And when I hit, it was just like lights out, but instantly lights back on. So I was like, man, I thought for sure I was going to get knocked out. I mean, that was instant. I was like, this is going to be bad. And when I hit, it was like a big flash of light, and then I was back, and I just started doing like the check of my fingers and toes, see what I can move, and I can move all of them.
Oh, that's good.
I couldn't move my legs because of the impact on my pelvis. And I thought for sure, I said, I can't even imagine what the back of my head looks like. I didn't feel anything, I was in a lot of pain in my pelvis area and a little bit in my back, but my head was not hurting. And this is the craziest thing of the entire story. I lifted my head and I turned and looked around at the rock the best that I could, expecting there to be
blood, probably.
Yeah, just
and
a
lots
pool.
of it. Yeah.
And there was nothing. And I reached my arm back. I felt my head, nothing, no pain, no anything.
That is crazy.
And what I realized was that I never hit my head. I landed on my back. I fell 20 feet, 190 pounds, falling 20 feet. Landed on my back, but my head never hit. And if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, that is like physically impossible to do with the actual physics of that amount of weight falling, whiplash, everything. My head did not hit the rock. And 6 inches in every single direction was nothing but rock. It's not like it hit mulch or it hit soft grass or anything like that. My head didn't hit. And there is no explanation for it other than, and the only thing that I can say is God put his hand under my head. And when I hit, that is what was saving me, because there was no other reason why I should be alive. If my head would have hit, without a doubt, it would have killed me.
Cracked your head open.
Oh, it would have killed me on impact.
Yeah.
And the EMS, when they got here to transport me from the ambulance to the helicopter, they couldn't even believe I was alive.
I bet.
They said, "Where'd you fall from?" I was like, 4 feet above that roof. And they're like, "Oh my gosh." Within 2 minutes of the 911 call, when they found out that somebody had fallen more than 8 feet, the chopper was already in the air. 2 minutes after I'd hit. And, I just think back on all of that, and it is just, I'm a miracle.
You are.
That's the only way to look at it. And I've been telling people at the shows now, like, if you don't believe in God, I'm proof that God's real, because I shouldn't be alive, but I'm here doing this interview with you today, and
I know,
get to
I'm so
perform.
blessed. Yeah.
I'm just very, very thankful.
I'm thankful too. That is, and especially with the own personal story, it's truly remarkable.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
yeah. So that, thankfully, you are still here with us.
Yes,
I can only imagine how it has changed you personally. You've kind of alluded to that a little bit. What would you say? I would like to split it apart, how it's impacted you personally first, and then in your music. So personally, how would you say your life perspective has changed from this experience?
Well, I've, even before the fall, I've always been very grateful for everything, very thankful for all the blessings in my life and for the people in it. But they say that, when you get down, when you're at a low point, you really find out who your friends are. And it has been amazing to me how many people stepped up and reached out to me, the amount of cards that I received, the people that have come to the benefits, the people that called me, the messages. It was hundreds and hundreds of messages.
Wow.
I mean, it was unreal, and that was the most emotional part of the whole thing. Like, I don't really care so much that I was hurt. I'm just thankful to be alive. I never minded the pain at all or anything I had to go through for the recovery, and I've still got some pain in the recovery, but it's minute compared to what it was. But the people, that is, I think, the greatest thing of this entire thing is it shows and it's proof that there's still kindness and there's still so much love in the world, because when you turn on the news, you can't really tell it.
Not right now. No.
But when you look at least from my perspective, what happened to me and the amount of people that have come together to help me and to just show so much support and so much love. It's been totally unreal, and that helped change my personal perspective on be better, be more for people. You know, I try to do as much as I can, and I appreciate everybody. I always have. I've been so thankful for all of my friends and fans and family, but now even more so. Now it's on like on a deep personal level, and so in that aspect, everything's changed. But for the performing aspect, I don't know. You know, aside from me just being so thankful that I can perform. You know, when I was laying on the ground and the ambulance hadn't even showed up anymore, the only thing I could think of was my career's over. This is all done.
Oh yeah.
And it was just as it was getting started. I'd already signed with the record label. I'd been in Nashville every other week. I was getting ready for a really big trip that I was really excited for down in Nashville for a really big project we were going to work on. And I was like, it's over. It's all over. But it's not. You know, I'm going to make full recovery, the doctor said. And going into the performances again was unreal. It was 3 weeks after I was doing my first performance. And I still have to sit in a chair. I got to take it easy. You know, I can't stand up for very long. I can't lift anything, but it's just a blessing to me to be able to still be back up on stage and still perform and see everybody smiling and having fun again. That's the most important thing to me. And I do my favorite gospel song now, and you know, I do use the stage in a way as a small platform just to tell people my story, to help give them comfort, because you know, everybody goes through hard times in their life. Everybody does. And you know, I've not had a tremendous amount of troubles in my life, but this one was a very, very big one, because it was like, you know, I just signed on, I had all these dreams coming true and all this stuff was happening, and then just redlined it right there. You know, it was just done as far as I could tell, but I owe everything to God, 100%, everything. My recovery, me not being taken, you know, so I see this as an opportunity for me to tell people, you know, believe in God, because he still does miracles. He still works such great things in people's lives when you're not expecting it, you know. And so what I like to do at shows now is I like to sing my all-time favorite gospel song. I was in gospel music for a long time. Yeah. That was what I grew up on. Was every single Sunday we were playing a different church doing gospel music. And I like to just do How Great Thou Art. That's my all-time favorite gospel song. And Elvis has a great version. If you've never listened to it, you can go check it out. But
he does.
I really love doing that. And, you know, there's a lot of mixed feelings about bringing religion to a show, but for me, I grew up in church, and it's really important to me. It always has been, but now it's extremely important. And I sang that song at the first show, and it was a standing ovation. Everybody just loves to hear a really good gospel song, I think, with my story, and that really means a lot to me. I'm really glad that it's been positively received. And so, you know, this entire thing as a whole has been a very positive thing for me. I've not been down on myself or looked at it negatively. It is what you make it, and I believe that in everything that you do. Yeah.
That had to be a beautiful experience. Do you close out with How Great Thou Art?
It is it's the second to last song. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. And you close out with one of your songs?
I'd close out with a patriotic song.
Okay.
Because that's extremely important to me as well. So I do How Great Thou Art into a patriotic song, and then that's the show closer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very exciting. He's been very busy. That had to be such an incredible thought process, to be laying on the ground and think, this is it. I am done.
Yeah, that was rough. That was what I was really terrified of. You know, I didn't fear, I guess, the repercussions of falling or my injuries. To me, it was just like, I can't sing anymore. You know, I can't perform.
Was that the thought that was more painful than recovering from the physical pain itself?
For sure. Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't mind, like I say, the pain. There was a lot of it, but I didn't mind that so much. It was more just what was going on in my mind. of not getting to perform and who I let down by getting hurt. You know, I felt like I let a lot of people down. And the whole chopper ride, when they were flying me to UVA, I prayed the entire time. The whole ride was just a prayer. And
what was it? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but what's the overall theme? You don't have to get all intimate if you don't want to, but what was the overall theme of the prayer?
It was just about, Lord, please, you know, let me still be able to perform. Let me still be able to. I was really concerned, I guess, about being paralyzed because I hadn't moved at all, aside from being lifted onto the stretcher and being transported. But I was concerned about being paralyzed because that is what would have prevented me from continuing to perform for the most part. I didn't know how severe the injuries were yet. I thought that they were a whole lot worse than what they were. Even the nurses were amazed that I only sustained, you know, it was still serious injuries, but it's just so rare to see someone fall from that distance and come out in the fashion that I did. And so, you know, I was just praying to God, please let me perform, please let me have the health or at least be able to recover from this. And he has.
Yeah.
And he did.
He totally did. Now, what does the rest of your recovery process look like? You're walking around. Are there other lingering injuries? I believe you were telling me your ribs and
yes, ma'am.
Pelvic fractures will take a little bit longer.
It will. I can't lift anything yet because of the fractures, and bones just take a long time to heal. So to have 3 broken ribs and 3 separate fractures on my pelvis, I've just got to be really careful with what I'm doing. I didn't expect to be able to walk anytime soon. I was on a walker for a long time. Of course, I came out of the hospital in a wheelchair, and then I upgraded to a walker, and then maybe 2 weeks ago, I started using a cane.
Okay.
And now, depending on where I am, I don't necessarily need a cane. I still have pain when I walk in my hip and pelvis area. I mean, I can feel that there's still trauma there, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as recovery goes, I had one doctor's appointment since the injury, and they said, man, everything's starting to heal. The bones aren't, you know, that's going to take time. That's going to be probably a 6-month process from the time that I fell to when I should be around 100%. Okay. It would be a 3 to 4 month process till I'm at about 80%. And so I still have about 4 or 5 months, but I've got my next appointment back here just next week. Okay. And I'll learn more. We'll take x-rays and see how the healing has been over the first month. And I'm really optimistic about it. You know, I really look forward to that. But just that first visit back, that first appointment, I was amazed because I expected them to say, you know, you're going to need PT. We are going to need to do surgery. We're going to need to do all these things. Instead, they said, man, there's no need for surgery. There's really no need for PT because they said the way that your fractures are on your pelvis, it doesn't affect your ability to walk. So they said, just start walking easy and gently and getting a feel for your right leg again, because I had been without my right leg for 2.5 weeks at that point. I hadn't used it a single time, and it was just not the news that I was expecting.
Yeah.
To go in. You know, I was expecting all this additional stuff, and they said, no PT, just take it easy and be careful, and that's what we did, and every single day it's a little bit better. There's a little bit more progress, and I'm just, you know, I keep saying it, but I'm just very blessed to be in this position to be able to heal and make a full recovery.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty incredible. Yeah, Laffers, he came out of his house without a cane.
That's right. Yes, ma'am. I can do it.
You can. Well, that is so remarkable. Yes, so remarkable. I am wondering if this whole experience has inspired some different lyrics that maybe you haven't thought of before.
Yes, ma'am. It certainly has.
Okay.
I'm already in the process of writing something new that will be related to an extent to this, to all of this that I've been going through. And I'm really excited for it. You know, there's still a lot of work to be done on it, but without a doubt, there will be a song that comes out with regards to this entire incident.
Wow. How long does it take you to write a song? I think we touched on that, but it's been a couple of years.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the process of writing lyrics for you and the timeline typically for a new song?
Well, it always depends for me. When I'm really inspired to write, I can crank a song out in a half hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. It depends on the depth that I'm going with the song. But if I'm not inspired, that's like sitting down and writing a school essay. I mean, it's just hard for me to do it. I don't necessarily enjoy just sitting down to write a song if there's no inspiration behind it, because you don't really get the full heart and soul into the song. But for most all of the songs that I have released, I've lived at some point. And so those all mean a lot to me. And typically I might have a line in my head, and I'll just build off that line. A lot of times it's like the hook to the song.
Okay.
What I prefer is if I have a tune in my head, because then you have lines that you can write within. You've got this much time to write a line, and then this one and this one. But a lot of times it's not like that. I do better, maybe more so as like a poet than I do creating the music around it. A lot of times I'll hear the lines or the words in my head and I'll write them down, and then I've got to just write music around what has been wrote.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty amazing process. Do you feel like your lyric writing, aside the accident, has evolved over time? Or has it kind of been...
Yeah, I would definitely say so. If you look at the songs that I was writing back in like 2017 and 18 compared to what I've wrote in the last few years since I've been in country music, I would like to say that they're better. I think that they are.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more complex. There's a little bit more depth to them. I feel like anything that you do, the more that you do it, the better that you get. You get a better grasp on it. And so I like to think that maybe I've progressed as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so if you're going to go move to Nashville.
Well, maybe.
I would say so. So when you signed with the record company, this was, you said, shortly before the accident?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it was, I'd signed on in, it would have been, I guess, August of this year. Then a month later, I fell.
That's crazy. Congrats on signing with Stone Country Records.
Yes,
I want to make sure I got that right.
Ma'am.
They seem very excited about you.
Oh, I'm more excited about them, I think. It is such a huge blessing for me to have gotten hooked up with those guys and everybody with that record label. I mean, they're all amazing. They're the best in the industry. I mean, these guys, this is one of the best record labels in all of Nashville, without a doubt. They're
I love learning
amazing.
that.
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
as I don't know a whole lot about the country music and
Yes, ma'am.
record labels, so well, kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it was them reaching out to me, and I'm just thankful to them for believing in me and giving me a shot, and I don't want to let them down.
Well, let me tell you something, Stone Country Records. I know you already know this, but this is an amazing young man.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Who's incredibly talented, as you already know. I'd like to talk about the 3-pack release that's new and inspired behind Cold Beer and Common Sense.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that title, by the way.
I do too. I like it. I'm a fan.
I was seeing these signs around town. It was saying Cold Beer 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
And it cracked me up because I was like, whoever did that, that's just brilliant. And I had no idea it was you.
It was. Yeah.
And I just saw that sign when I was coming into your driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
I was like, this is Spencer. Spencer did this.
Yeah, me and my brother, we went out one day and we spent about 2.5 hours hitting all the major traffic spots. We put out, I don't know, it was like 30-some signs. We made like 30-some different stops that day. Up in Harrisonburg on Port Road, we went to Newmarket and Timberville and Broadway. And they're back in Folks Run right now. But then they're also all over Music Row in Nashville. They're out in
really?
California. There's some up in D.C. There's some in Southern Virginia. I say it's more than just a song. It's a movement.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I mean, cold beer and common sense, it kind of speaks for itself. 2024, that's what we're voting for here. It doesn't, to me.
Cold beer, is that what we're voting for? Okay.
Cold beer and common sense. I think that it doesn't, to me, I've never been a big political guy. I don't bring politics in a single one of my shows. I could care less. I mean, it's important for you to be informed and to have your beliefs. But I think that a lot of people are just so dedicated to a party that they don't necessarily care about what the party stands for anymore. They're just going to vote in that direction. And to me, it's like, vote for what you believe. I think that everybody should be their own person. And a lot of times, I think that with youth comes, in some cases, kids can be naive. And they can be ignorant to certain things. Not all of them, of course. I'm not speaking for anybody here, but I think that kids should dive more into what they think is right and what they believe than what they're told. And I think that so often people just believe what they're told opposed to what they really believe. And I've always just been one that, I'm set in my ways and I've got my beliefs, but to me that's not something I don't talk about it. It doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. I just like singing and I like playing music, and that's what I do. But Cold Beer and Common Sense, the song is all about forget your political parties. Everybody should be able to sit down at a table at the end of the day and get along. We talk about cold beer, but you can have a meal. You should be able to be in a room, regardless of your political party and what you believe, and everybody should be able to smile and laugh and get along, because we're all people. We're all humans, and it's like more and more what I see is this hatred and people wanting to fight, literally fight. There's the riots and everything, and it's like total destruction of personal property, and I don't understand it. I'm just so into people getting along and people showing love over hate that I really hope that people can listen to this song and understand that message and maybe think about that for themselves. And that's what the song's all about. We could all use more of Mama's cooking and getting along and just having fun with each other and focusing on smiling and loving one another opposed to arguing and hatred. Right.
Because we're all different and we come to our beliefs and values from our multitude of experiences. We can have life experiences that can alter how we think. Your fall has had an impact on your life perspective. Certainly my experience with my dad had a great impact on my perspective and my family's perspective. And so I think that's a good message. It's really talking about compassion for one another.
Yes, ma'am.
And being okay with the fact that we don't all think the same way.
Yes, ma'am.
And seek to understand, then be understood. That's what Stephen Covey said, one of his quotes.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think even when you seek to understand and you still disagree, at least you have a better understanding of why that person who thinks differently than you thinks that way.
Well, yeah, and I think it's totally fine to disagree. Let's agree to disagree. That's one of the lines in the song. It's okay to disagree, but you don't have to fight over it. You still get along.
It's just love one another.
Yes, ma'am.
I like that.
That's what it's all about.
There's 3 songs, I think, on this album. Can you talk about them? I was listening to a little bit of each of them on my way up here.
Yeah, the other 2 is Has Anybody Ever and Leave This Town. And they're both more love, relationship-centered. But I think that they're all very relatable to lots of different people. I've had so many people reach out about all 3 songs and how it relates to them. And that's the most important thing to me whenever I write a song is relatability. I think that when you can have a personal connect with a song, well then all of a sudden it's more on a personal level. When you're listening, you understand the feeling or the emotion that's being pushed out through that song. And with Has Anybody Ever, I had a number of people reach out and be like, that is my all-time favorite song now, because I went through that. Somebody has loved me like that, like they talk about in the song. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to go listen to it. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Has anybody ever?
Sure, please do.
Yeah. Has anybody ever is all about that. Has anybody ever loved you like that? Is the line, and that's a really strong song that we're all proud of. And then Leave This Town is another love song about you're set on leaving, you're a big man or a big woman that knows her path, and then somebody might kind of interfere with your plans. All of a sudden it's love, but suddenly you're not going to leave this town anymore, and you found a purpose here, and it's the person that you're with. A lot of times I'm not maybe the best to talk because I've got these big plans and I'm leaving town and everything. But it's happened before where somebody enters your life and you start thinking, as long as I'm with this person, I don't care where I am. Mm-hmm. And that's what that song's about. And I think everybody can probably relate to that at one point in their life or another.
Right.
So, and then you got Cold Beer and Common Sense. So it's a lot of messages.
Yeah.
In all three songs.
Yeah. Yeah, that music has a great impact on people's life, especially when the lyrics are so relatable, because then they can identify very personally, like you were saying, through their own lens and through their own life experiences.
Yes, ma'am.
And that will touch your heartstrings.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So that second one's a little bit about heartbreak, right? Did I pick up on that one? Never, what'd you call it? Never leave?
Leave This Town, or Has Anybody Ever?
Has Anybody Ever?
I guess it's kind of up for interpretation on that. Okay. Has anybody ever? A lot of people that I have spoke to was talking about how they had been loved like that, and then they didn't wind up with them. Mm-hmm. Or it could be like a first love, or it could be you have that person and that you've been loved like that, but
maybe not returned or something.
Or you found the love in the person that you're with, and that's the ultimate goal, if you can end up with the person that loves you like that. Mm-hmm. I think, like I say, I think it's up for interpretation.
Okay. Yeah, so Laughers, you're going to have to listen to this album.
Yes, ma'am, you have to.
That's the take-home message on that one. And you've signed with this record company, and I'm delighted again to find out they're the best. So
they are. They're the best.
That's wonderful. How is this experience shaping your music journey?
Well, it's certainly shaping it. Yeah, this has been something that I've dreamt for since I was 4 years old. I've always wanted to be in music. I've always wanted to sing and play, and I was always involved in music. But I didn't get into country music until I was I've always listened to country music, but my shift from bluegrass to country, that didn't happen until right after my senior year in high school. Mm. So that would have been 2016 that I started thinking about maybe wanting to start a country arrangement. And of course, I've just worked nonstop since my very first viral video, which was July 14th of 2020. Had my very first show August 7th of 2020. And my sole goal has just been to focus on music and to grow it as big as I possibly can, and with this dream of making it big. And, I've been told everything in the book. You're not going to make it. Give up. Yeah. You're wasting your time, all that stuff. And that's important, too, because I want people to know that you do what makes you happy. I mean, that is the most important thing in life. Like, you have got to do what makes you happy. The biggest fear I ever had was living for 2 days a week and hating 5. Mm. And so many people live that life. They dread work 5 days a week, and then they live for 2. And that was just something that I had no interest in. I knew that if I was working a 9-to-5 job behind a desk, that would be me. Mm-hmm. And so I just didn't let that be an option. And I said I'd rather go broke trying and have my answer than to never pursue it and always wonder. And so for 4 years, the last 4 years, I have just worked and worked and worked. And I've been down. I've thought this isn't going to happen. But you have to keep your head up. You have to stay positive about it. And I always did that the best I could. And so to finally have that call come from Nashville to come down and perform for this big board of people, and then for them to love it and say, we want to take you on. I mean, everything is increased by 10 or 100 or 1,000, you know. The ability that I have now with the record label and the record label that I have alone is just amazing. It's like a family. You know, it's not like a company or anything. Everybody there is family. It's just, it is the greatest people. And I'm just so blessed to be with Stone Country Records. And it changes everything for sure, because now I get to take it on a larger scale. I've got help. Never had help before. Everything was...
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, everything for the last 4 years has just been me. I mean, you know, I've got people that help me now. And, of course, I had Connor, my younger brother, on the bass, and Austin on the drums. And I could tell them to help me. But as far as the business goes, the marketing, all the videos, everything behind the scenes aside from performing, that was just what I knew I had to do if I wanted to make it and to make this thing work, just as anybody starting a company has to do. And, you know, so I turned this thing into a company. It's NBTB LLC, which stands for Nothing But the Best LLC, and that's been the motto.
Great.
And I went from it just being me to getting my dad involved to help me out with some of the contracts for the shows and booking some of the shows. And I've got some merchandise people now that run the merch table, and I've got sound and lighting engineers at every single show. And I did all that on my own as well. And then I signed with the record label, and everything is just, I mean, it's a pro level now. And I'm just
wonderful.
It's been the dream. I've prayed for it for 8 years. You know, I've dreamed of it for a long time, but I started praying for it every single day for the last 8 years. And it's finally happened now. It's happening, you know. I don't have a number one or anything like that, and that's okay with me, but to be able to go to Nashville and to do all of this stuff, yeah, I'm going to work as hard as I can and just do the best that I can, as I always have, and I'm just thankful to be in the position that I am to, you know, be able to do that. That's extremely exciting for me.
Yes. And you too have a number one. You're the number one listened episode, number 57.
That's right. I'm number one with you. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
You know, you've made it when you're the number one podcast listened to on Virginia's for Laughers.
There you go. Well, that's a big achievement. That's really big. Because how many episodes do you have now?
I released number 193.
There you go.
Yesterday.
That's exciting.
Congratulations
to you.
Thank you very much.
On the road to 200. Very close.
Absolutely, which is pretty exciting. And we have listeners all over the world, and they continue to grow.
That's great.
Which is awesome.
That's
and we are close to 12,000 listens. So pretty excited about that.
That's great.
On audio platform. YouTube, we just started that, so
It'll grow.
That's a new adventure for us.
It'll grow.
Yeah. Again, why I was so excited, I was like, people have been following this podcast, now they can see you.
That's right. Yeah, this is exciting. Now, see, everything is getting bigger here. Everything's getting more pro and more professional. Congratulations to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes,
thank you. Give me hope.
Well, I'll give you however much I can. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Now, how are you balancing your recovery with your music commitments right now?
Well, it's starting to get a little easier because I can get back to work now. Mm-hmm. I'm able to, of course, perform, but I can do everything that I need to from Nashville. You know, I sit at a computer a lot during the day, answering phone calls and emails and getting stuff worked out. The only thing that really stopped was me traveling down to Nashville, because I was going down there about every other week and spending a week getting all this stuff worked up, everything that came out, those 3 songs and more songs that are coming out really soon and everything. It prevented me from traveling down, but I'm getting to the point now where I hope that I can return in about 2 weeks to continue my work, and I've just got to take it slower, but I mean, I'm able to I'm able to do most things that I need to. I'd done the exact amount of work that I needed to set me up through January, which was huge, So if there was a time for me to fall, it happened when it was supposed to, because I didn't have to go back to Nashville until January.
All right.
But still had plans to continue on.
Mm-hmm.
So I recovered. I didn't go to Nashville. I didn't do much of anything for a month. And now I'm able to start getting around. I can perform again and continue answering phone calls and emails. And now we're looking at maybe setting up another trip to Nashville.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, ma'am.
Before Thanksgiving, you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
We planned on dropping this before Thanksgiving, so
Oh, there you go.
that's pretty exciting.
Yes, ma'am.
And so how are you keeping motivated? How did you keep motivated during the challenging times before your accident? Now you have a life perspective change. And how do you stay motivated now post-accident? Are they two different things? Or no?
No, I don't think so. You know, I've always been someone that is maybe abnormally motivated. Even during hard times, I use that as fuel to continue to go. I've never looked at quitting as an option, and I think that maybe that's why the music has gone as well as it has, because to me, I said there is no plan B. And I told that to all my guys that work for me. I told them no plan B, because if you live with there being a plan B, you're probably going to start leaning on it. But if you say there is no other option, you have to make this work, that is what I drilled into my head. And that's what I've lived with. And the motivation has always been there to continue to push. Like we were talking about before the show, I've played shows for no one. Not a single person showed. And that was even after like a year and a half of doing shows. Like, the show's been established. People knew that I was a performer. And there was a show where nobody showed up. And then, the next week we would be playing for like 300 or 400 people. And so up to this point, we've now played for 0 people and then 3,000 people, which has just been, it's a huge change, because you look at it. But even with the videos that I did starting off, if I would have listened to those first couple of people in the comments, I would have quit right then. That was the big thing, was getting through comments and videos that you spend a lot of time on, you work really hard on, and then people just trash you in the comments. It's like, man, that kind of hurt a little bit, but I'm going to just do better on the next one. That was always my mindset. Well, it's not like I'm going to quit because of it. I'm just going to do better. And it would make me do better. And, I would just keep on pushing. And it's kind of like you make the haters eat their own words, haters is what will make you. If you don't have any haters, they say it's because you're not interesting enough to.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You've got to have haters, and I've had a lot over the years, but I've always had typically more supporters. For every one bad comment, you'll have 50 great ones. Now, the bad one is what sticks with you. You just think about that all day. You're like, man, that guy was not nice. He wasn't very kind. But
is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really think that?
Yeah. Do it.
But eventually you stop caring. And that's the thing. You got to let it roll off your shoulder. But if you can let that comment motivate you, which is what it has been for me. I've just always been motivated. I don't know. There's still times where I'm like, I don't want to do this today. Many, many, many times you don't want to do it. You force yourself. Because the days that you're resting, there's somebody else out there grinding harder than you.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I've always said and what I've done the last 4 years is there may be people that are better than me out there, and there are so much more talented, such great, amazing vocalists, but they will not outwork me. I will outwork everybody that I'm around.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because if you don't have the work ethic to do the job that you have to do, then it's not going to get done. You can be a talent, but if you don't do the work,
yeah, absolutely.
What do you have?
We see that in comedy too.
Ma'am.
There is, I can name quite a handful of comics I'm thinking of right now that just are outworking everyone. And it's the talent and the hard work ethic that helps them keep moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
In the field of comedy, too, and pretty much most fields, wouldn't you say?
I would, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that progress are the people that are the hardest workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that you can have a great product or a great company or whatever it is, but if you don't have the workers, if you're not willing to do the work and put in the work that it takes to get the reward out of it, then you don't really have much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. You've just got the talent, but it's kind of like a product. You know, you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't do the work to get it out there in front of people, you won't have any sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to do the work, whether you want to or not. If you want to be number one, you got to work like you're number one.
Mm. That's a good
Or maybe
one.
work like you're number two and you're always trying to get to number one.
Oh, interesting take on that one. I
There you
like
go.
that. I like your note about the haters, too. I remember when I first started getting a few comments and having those same feelings. And
Yeah.
My husband would say, well, congratulations. Now that's evidence that you're doing something and moving,
That's right.
moving ahead.
That's right. You got to get controversial because if they get in the comments and they start saying those mean things, well, a lot of times your supporters will step up and support you, and then you're just forming this greater, stronger fan base.
Yeah.
You're always going to have haters. You can be, the greatest person in the world. There's someone out there that doesn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no reason to. I never understood haters. Like, actually taking time out of your day to write a mean message to somebody is unbelievable to me. I have never in my life done it. Never ever will. It's not who I am. But there's so many people out there that just feel like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do it.
They're going to do it.
Yeah.
Aren't there AI bots now that are writing mean things?
Maybe.
I've heard about
I don't
that.
know.
I don't
but
know
that's
enough
okay.
about it to be an expert to
Yeah.
actually validate that or anything, but that is just what I've
It
heard.
wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
Yeah.
AI is kind of taken over. So maybe the AI doesn't even like your product, but that's okay. It's all right with me.
I know. I don't know what they're going to do. That's why I'm so nice to Chat GPT, because if things go south, I want them to remember that I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah, that's right. They said, we love Dawn. Leave her be.
That's exactly right. Because you don't know. This world's getting crazy.
It is.
Well, what's next for you on the horizon for you now with moving to Nashville? What does the next steps look like?
I think I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to change too much. I'm just going to continue to try to progress. So even when I'm down in Nashville, what that allows me to do is more work. And a lot of people would say, well, how can you do more? Well, now I can. I'll be where I need to be,
Yeah.
around the people that I need to be with to do as much work as I can and be as productive as I can. I heard Toby Keith say, he said, if you're a songwriter or you're a musician and you want to do this thing, he's like, you got to be in Nashville because everything is in Nashville. And it's true. My mentality for 4 years, the reason I never moved to Nashville is because I said, with social media being as big as it is, you don't need to move to Nashville and play bars and try to do these small shows down in Nashville to try to get recognized anymore. You would have more success being online and raking in views.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, social media is worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry so much about going to that specific place anymore in the industry that I'm in. I think that was proven as well, because what the record label wound up finding was my social media and being interested. And then they called me, which was what I was saying all along, where if I'd gone to Nashville, well, all those videos that people love the view of, I never would have had. I couldn't have filmed on the farm. I couldn't have done some of the videos that I did with the red truck and everything. And so I just kind of took that mentality and I just said, well, I'll play shows around here and keep on making videos, and I hope that one day somebody sees them, and they did. And it worked out. So now I'll be going to Nashville and just working more and recording more and trying to get bigger and better. And every day I just want to do better than I did the day before. That's the goal.
Yeah. And I think, too, that's 4 years, this journey that you're talking about.
Yes,
And from 2020 to 2022, we were in the thick of the pandemic. So
Yeah.
it probably was the best option perhaps at the time to focus in on the social media aspect and put your music out that way.
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get as much exposure during that time as possible, because people, some places were closed altogether. It took a minute for people to do social distance shows and concerts and events and that type of thing. So
yeah, it was interesting to see how all of that kind of played out. What I thought was maybe the worst time in history to start a group, because everything had been shut down.
Yeah.
You know, before then, you just needed to be playing shows. But once COVID hit, what wound up happening was this giant social media.
This giant leaf hit them in the face.
This giant social media
If you're
wave.
listening, that actually happened.
It did. Yeah, it really did. The social media wave came through, and everybody just resorted to going to, especially TikTok. TikTok started really blowing up right at the start of 2020, which I got in on TikTok in April of 2020, and by July of 2020, TikTok was just huge. It was a really, really big platform. I think it was the biggest platform in the world at that time, and that was when my very first video went viral. And so I just took to social media.
Yeah.
And that was interesting, because that's not exactly how I'd plan on everything going, but I wound up putting more focus into social media and marketing myself that way than I did performance shows. Shows was just a way to kind of get, you could get a little bit of money coming in, but there wasn't a whole lot of people that, like you said, going out yet to shows, doing anything like that. So the start was a little bit, I don't even know if it was rough, just doing live performances was totally new. And there wasn't necessarily the audience that you were looking for there, because a lot of people still weren't going out, but it was fun. I mean, I'm thankful for the way that it started and all the shows that we've played since. I'm also thankful that COVID is done. That was kind
Pretty
of
much, that was
an
a
odd
bummer.
time.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I love live performances too. I think there's something so unique about each live performance, because each audience group has their own vibe to them.
They do. Yep. Every single one is different, especially with the different area. I mean, you can play a show just around here.
Yeah.
And on Friday night, the crowd is just insane. And then Saturday, they're a little bit mellowed out,
From Friday night.
Well, maybe. But if you go different areas, then you start seeing the difference in environment and culture, and sometimes where they might not be totally into country music or bluegrass, but all in all, I think people like music. I think that if you're a good artist and you can sing songs that mean a lot to you, I think that's portrayed to the audience, and they kind of can reciprocate that emotion back to you. So typically people have a lot of fun at shows. Just music is something that makes people happy.
And connects them. I think so too.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got fans that just love you. We were getting a couple of these bar stools out to do this podcast interview out of his kitchen, and I thought it was his birthday or something, because he had all these gifts on his counter.
Yeah.
And it's not. These are gifts that your fans have given you.
Yeah, I have really great fans, really amazing fans that
that's
care
great
about me.
Fans. I love that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love it too. I think that I've said it all along. I've got the greatest fans in the world. I was injured, and a lot of gifts came during my injury. A lot of people were just thinking about me. I was fed. I never went hungry. That was great.
They kept bringing food.
Kept on, and that was amazing. But there were people that brought me things they thought that I could use or that I did need, and that was really nice. But even before the injury, there'd be times I would just show up to shows and there would be gifts. People would just give me gifts. They give me new Pearl Snap shirts to wear. They want to see me wear their shirt on stage, that type of thing.
Oh, really? Pearl Snap shirts? What are Pearl Snap shirts?
Like this one right here.
Oh, okay.
Pearl Snaps.
I'm getting so educated about country and country music right now.
I had a guitar gifted to me.
Yeah.
That was signed by Eddie Montgomery with Montgomery Gentry. I had a Conway Twitty album that was signed by Conway Twitty gifted to me. I've had all sorts of different gifts. I don't know,
Yeah.
shirts and cards and keychains and all kinds of different things. Not all of them are like guitars, of course. I mean, that's kind of crazy, anyways. But to me, I don't really care what you give me. I think just the thought of somebody feeling so moved to go out of their way and get a gift,
Yeah.
just for me and present it to me is amazing. And I always just thank them so much, because every single thing that a fan gives me just means the world to me. I don't really think I deserve it, I don't think I deserve the fans that I have, but I've got them, and I'm very, very thankful for them.
Yeah. That's pretty. Is that a common thing in country music, that fans bring gifts to music artists? I don't know.
Well, I know that, like, on a large scale it is. On the scale that I'm at, I've never heard of it before. Just on a local thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think everybody's buying guitars for people, but maybe. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Either.
I just think that I think a lot of it is how you treat people.
No, that's good. Yeah.
I really do.
That's important.
I take as much time as needed to spend with my fans every single show. I will shake every single hand. I will take a picture with every single person. The fans are the only reason that I'm doing what I love. They're the only reason that I can live the life I live and to pursue my dream, is because I have the people that believe in me.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. It's not because of me. It's not because of all this work that I do. I do the work as a result of having fans. The fans are who allow me to have this work that I need to do. But if it weren't for the fans, I would be nothing, and I owe everything to them. I always have. Everything.
Yeah, I feel that way too. It's without the supporters, you can't create more podcast episodes. You can't produce more comedy shows and perform in comedy shows. It's because they keep coming that you're able to create more.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's truly valuable. Without them, our work isn't shared to the world.
No. It wouldn't be shared to anybody, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm very thankful for all the fans.
I love that so much. So what is the overall message, speaking of the fans, if you had to give them an overall message that you wanted to share as you step into this new chapter and go into Nashville, what would you want to say to them?
In the aspect of, like, life?
Yeah.
Well, you have to let me know if this is what you mean, but I think that, something that I tell people all the time, if I had to tell somebody something because I wasn't going to talk to them again or something like that, I had to leave them with a piece of advice, it would just be, do what makes you happy. That is so important to me. I think that is like the most important thing in the world to me, is do what makes you happy. Because it was like I was saying, if you're spending 5 days a week just dreading the next day until the weekend, and then you're living for 2 days, what kind of life is that? To me, it's got to be a terrible one. I can't imagine doing that, because people have their dreams. Not all dreams will come true, and I get that, but do what makes you happy. Like, find something that you enjoy at least. And I am a believer, pursue your dreams. So at least if they don't work out, you know that they didn't. But you'll never, ever have that regret of, I should have. When I was younger, I always wanted to do this. Now I'm too old, but I would do it, but I'm too old. Something like that. And that was something that I thought about at a very early age. And I knew I didn't ever want to be faced with that question. And so I pursued music, which is like one of the hardest things to make it in. I mean, just like music and acting. You want to be a rock star or a movie star. I mean,
or that's a comedian.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
To be in the entertainment field.
Yep, exactly.
It is so hard to do anything, to make it anywhere. And I have just been blessed because the fans allowed me to have a record deal and to perform and to feel like I can be content with myself. But again, it's not because of me, but I just think that it's so important for people to wake up every single day and be excited about going to work, because you got to work to make a living, but do what makes you happy. Be with people that make you happy. Be with positive people. There's so much toxicity in the world. There's so many people in a lot of people's lives that are not kind. They're not helping you grow as a person. They're maybe bringing you down. Cut them out. Whose feelings are you hurting by getting rid of somebody that's hurting your feelings all the time? I mean, I think about that. I have nobody in my life like that. I have.
Yeah.
I've had many people in my life like that, but you got to cut them out. And it might hurt to cut them out. You know, you might think this is going to be the end of the world if you cut them out, or you don't want to hurt their feelings or something like that. It's your life. You've got one. Live it. And that is just so important. Live it happy, live it to the fullest, and pursue your dreams. And it's okay if they don't work out, but pursue them so that you know, and then fall back on something that is gonna you're totally happy doing. Don't live your life for 2 days a week.
I really like that message. It's a big reason why I stepped into moving toward doing stand-up comedy.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I got into it late. So for those of you who may be a little more senior than Spencer over here, I can attest that it's never too late to pursue your dreams. And they may not be entertainment related at all. It could be you're just in this job. It's not what's resonating with you, and there's a different job or a different career that you feel your passion lies or your interests lie greater, and it's never too late or too early to change tracks.
That's right.
So you can still have, some people like the security of what a job provides them, and insurance and retirement accounts and all of those things, and that's where they feel more comfortable. But maybe they're in a job right now that's just not making them happy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I get that aspect to it where you've got what you would call financial security, where you don't have to worry about money, and you can take care of your family and provide for them. Well, yeah, in some cases you have got to really bust it to take care of a family. In which case you're dreading work, and you're, you know, I don't know how to advise you in that aspect, but if there's an opportunity for you to do something that is more enjoyable, don't keep going in circles with something that you're not too happy with, or, you know, I get it. You know, you don't always have that choice, but maybe make a 10-year plan. Say in 10 years, this is what I would like to be doing. I might have to grind and raise my family for the next 10 years, but hopefully in 10 years, this is where I can be, and I'll start chipping away at that each day. You know, you're not going to love everything that you do all the time. I mean, my job is not all just sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah,
I mean,
mine isn't either.
Oftentimes it's not.
There's some challenges for sure. Yeah.
But when you love what you're doing, and you can continue doing work, knowing that what you're doing is your passion. I mean, there's a lot of excitement and relief with that. You don't have the dread. You know.
Yeah, and then for some people, it's not. They're chasing the total security financially. They have other interests. It could be nonprofits and community work.
Sure, yeah.
I think that the biggest take home is be happy.
Yes, ma'am.
And move in the lane that's bringing you the most joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can always change tracks.
You can always change.
So if you go down one lane and then you're like, well, that's not it, you can change lanes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to live in Colorado, pack up and go to Colorado. Find a job out there, just make it work, you know?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for a lot of people, you know? They want to travel, or they want to live somewhere that they don't live, and they're like, well, I'm tied down here, I've got a job and I got a house. It's like, okay, sell your house, quit your job. To me, it's that simple. To so many people, it's not. And if you got a family, you can't necessarily just pack everything up and go.
Yeah, tonight. You have
but for like,
got a plan.
For someone that's single, or for a married couple, just a married couple with no kids, you know, if you're both unhappy and you're just working dead-end jobs and you feel tied down because you have a home and jobs, it's like, no. Like, do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Sell your house, quit your job, and go where you can be happy. Start your family out there. That's just how I think.
Like create your own destiny.
Create it. Pave your own path.
Pave your own path. Oh, I like that.
Right.
Well, we might have to name the episode.
Pave your own path.
Pave your own path.
We got it.
We'll see how that part turns out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, as we wrap up here, how best can the Laughers follow you on social media or otherwise to get more information?
Yeah, you can follow me on any of the social media platforms like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you look up Spencer Hatcher in the search bar, you should see my main profile, and just click on that and you can follow me. I'm always posting on there. You can stay up to date with where I'm at, what I'm doing, the new projects, the new music. I got a lot of really exciting things coming out, and I'd love for you all to be part of it. And yeah, you can just, I'm on all of those places. I've also got a website, spencerhatchermusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check that out. That's been a totally revamped, redone, and it's a lot nicer than the one before. If you're on there like 2 years ago, go check this new one out, and I've got everything posted on there as well. That's where a lot of my people that come to the shows, they stay on my website, and I've got all my shows on there. I've got my new music on there, all the links to social media. So really, if you just go check out my website, you would be able to find all my social media as well. But yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Spencer. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, and this has been so exciting. I'm sorry about the serious accident, but I'm so grateful that you are standing, walking, performing, and you are alive.
Well,
so thank you again for coming on the show, and I'm excited for your future.
Dawn, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing 2 years ago. I even more so enjoyed this episode, and I just I really hope the best for you. And,
thank you.
And congratulations again on the upgrade. We're going to YouTube. We got a video now, and we're growing.
Yeah, we're
growing good. And yeah, I'm really proud of you.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, Spencer.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm trying to keep up with everybody else. So we just keep on doing it.
We keep on doing it, learning and growing. That's what it's all about, you know? So let's do it together. Laughers, to get more information on following Spencer on his social, just visit his, and everything else, just visit his website at spencerhatchermusic.com. That's spencerhatchermusic.com. We'll put that information for you in the show notes as well. So if you're driving around, working out, don't worry about it. You can grab it there. And also, Laughers, thank you so much for tuning in today from wherever you're listening. We're available on all the platforms, all the things, and now on YouTube as well. My husband is a comic, and we are the Funny Womacs. So that is what you can subscribe to on YouTube and help us grow. And we can see and check in with Spencer in a little while later after he spent some time in Nashville and see where he is then. How about that? That's what I'm going to vote for anyway.
Yes, ma'am. We'll do it.
And lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, Laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by the Funny Womacs and Friends. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to a FWAF show or let us bring one to you. To find out more, head to thefunnywomacs.com. Be sure to share this podcast with a friend, and until next time, cheers.